Hi, my name is Christina Blanchard. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in clinical psychology with an emphasis in marital and family therapy. As far as my role at St. Christopher's, I facilitate the family workshop. In terms of my credentials, I'm a licensed addiction specialist and a licensed clinical addiction specialist. So I've been doing the family workshop at St. Christopher's for about 3 years now. Originally, when I started working in the field, I absolutely did not want to do family work. I wanted to do anything but family work. And then I started noticing more and more that I felt drawn to it. So I'm really honored to have this position. I love family work more than anything. And so I want to give you a little bit of information about what our workshop looks like. So it's a 4-day intensive. And when I use the word intensive, I definitely mean intensive. So it's 4 days, it's all day. It's extremely fulfilling. It's a little bit exhausting. For the first 2 days, it's just the family. And the reason that we do that is it's really important to have just a safe space for the family. For the families to come together and to really talk openly and honestly about how their lives have been impacted. I believe that there's a lot of healing in us just sharing our story with other people who can empathize and relate. So the first 2 days is just family. The second, part of the intensive, we get to bring our loved ones in. So everyone is always very excited about that piece, usually a little bit nervous about that piece. But one of the things I love so much about the St. Christopher's Family Workshop is we have a little bit of a different approach than some other treatment centers. So oftentimes there's a high level of anxiety around the family weekend, and the reason for that is some models have a very confrontational approach. When I was designing the workshop for St. Chris, I really felt after communicating with the families that we've all been through enough by the time our loved one comes to treatment. So our approach is much more about gaining understanding and empathy for one another. So I view it as it's an opportunity for the family to heal together. So everyone is coming together, they're getting information at the same time, and really as opposed to having a confrontational approach where it's us versus our loved one, we're really there as a family system, and we are all trying to heal from the disease in different ways. So I'd like to give a little bit more specific information about the family workshop. One of the questions I often get is just basically what topics do we cover? So we start with the basics, We start with a basic understanding of what it is we're dealing with. So I do a lecture on the disease model so that the family members have a really clear understanding of what's happening with their loved ones physiologically. And that is a really important piece because when it comes to knowledge of addiction, I think we all know it intuitively because we've experienced it, but it's really important at the beginning of workshop that we have a universal understanding of the facts related to addiction. So that's where we start. We talk about all the really important topics to family members. So of course we discuss boundaries, what they are. Oftentimes we haven't learned boundaries. We have no clue. So we talk about what those are and how to use boundaries in a healthy, nurturing, effective way. Oftentimes what I'll hear is that people equate boundaries with tough love, and so there's some apprehension around that, and so we clarify what boundaries are, what they're not, and then how to use them in a healthy and nurturing way. We also will talk about codependency and enabling. Those are also really important topics for the family to understand. And then the piece that we do together with the loved ones present is we talk about family systems. So we're basically just talking about families in general. How families function, how they're coordinated. We'll talk about family roles. One of the things that's really fun is that we'll do family sculpts. I like to incorporate some experiential work into the workshop. So when someone is describing a family, sometimes I'll press pause and have volunteers come up and sculpt the family. So we talk a lot about just the family system in general. One topic that I love presenting on, I think it is an essential topic for the clients and the family members to understand, is shame. And so we spend a whole afternoon really just delving into that topic and talking in depth about what that is and what that is when it relates to addiction. And then we also just have a lot of questions. We have people kind of openly discussing the information. I like the group to be casual. I always say that, dress casual. The only thing that you need to do is show up and we've got it from there. So really, it's just an opportunity for us to openly discuss our thoughts, discuss our feelings, discuss our fears. And one thing that happens, and I love it when this happens, is we'll have family members come in, and originally they think that we're going to talk about the loved one, the identified patient the whole time. And really what I try to encourage is that each member of the workshop takes the information and applies it to themselves. So the most important thing for me is that there's a mutual empathy, respect, and understanding of what our loved ones are experiencing. And it definitely is mission accomplished for me if everyone leaves there with an idea of what their treatment plan is going to look like. So that ideally every single person in the family is working on their own individual treatment plan. And when we have healthy members of the family, then we can do some really powerful family work later on in the loved one's recovery process. Right, so one of the questions that I often get is, who is appropriate to attend family workshops? So my philosophy is that I don't really define family. The loved one defines family, and you define family. So anyone who is an important member of the support system is absolutely welcome. This information is so important, and when the family is involved and when the support system is involved, we see change happen much more rapidly and sustainably. So I definitely encourage anyone who is involved in the life of a recovering person to come and get this information. A question I often get is about children. And so my philosophy on that is if children have been exposed to the sickness, then I think it is a huge gift to allow them to be exposed to the recovery. So oftentimes, if there's someone who is maybe 8, 9, 10 years old and the family is uncertain about whether they would be qualified, that they would just come and sit down with me. And usually it's an opportunity to gauge, where they are from a maturity perspective, what they've been exposed to, and then we get to determine that on a case-by-case basis. So as much as possible, we try to include everyone who has been touched, everyone who has been impacted, and anyone who would benefit from a healing process. So in thinking about some of my kind of favorite family workshop experiences, it's so difficult for me to do that because they're all my favorite and they're all so special in so many different ways. One of the things that I love more than anything is when we have someone who goes through our family workshop, graduates, and then becomes a staff member here, and their parent came to workshop, because I'll get kind of periodic emails of just kind of checking in. And so I love having those relationships that are enduring. Of course, as a therapist, one of the things I love is to see the transformation that can happen over the first, over the couple days of workshop. So it's always nice for me when I have a family where at the beginning there's a lot of volatility, and then by the end you can just feel that the energy is completely shifted and that there's so much more kind of mutual understanding and mutual, kind of exchange of love going on. So I love it when that happens. I don't necessarily love it when there's tension at the beginning, but I love to see the transformation that happens. And another piece that I think is extremely powerful, we talk about how in addiction, secrets are very toxic, right? So secrets are toxic for the individual, but I think oftentimes what people don't realize is that secrets are also toxic for the family. And sometimes we will do genograms, and it's so powerful to have, for example, a mother maybe disclose something to her child in the family workshop that the child never knew about her story. And so it's really a beautiful moment when something is revealed, something that's potentially been a secret for decades and, even generations. So that's really beautiful, and you can see when that gets revealed that everybody in the room understands how powerful that is, how important that is. That is a beautiful thing to witness. And it goes the other way. We've had clients share secrets that they've been carrying for a very long time. And I think that what's so powerful about that is when you are in the space, when that's happening, you can feel energetically that a tremendous weight has been lifted. And so one of the blessings of being able to be a part of the St. Christopher's community and to work with these families is that there's such a culture of safety and support, and that's really what allows healing to happen. And those are profound moments for a family and for an individual when a secret that has been kept, or multiple secrets that have been kept for years or even generations, is unveiled, and we're able to witness healing in the moment. One message that I definitely want to communicate to our St. Christopher's families is that once you have a loved one who has come to St. Christopher's for treatment, you are definitely part of our family. So if you have someone who comes and then they decide to leave after a day, all of the family services are still available to you. So we still encourage you to come to workshop, to get support, to get to know us. And we've had on several occasions, maybe a mom attend the workshop when her son decided to leave, and through the tools that she learned at workshop was able to guide him back to treatment. So we definitely want you to know that regardless of your loved one and their journey with us, once you have a family member here, you are definitely part of our family, and we are here to guide and support you. I've had family members ask if they can attend more than one workshop. Oftentimes when we come to our first workshop, our loved one has just entered treatment and we are exhausted, we are stressed out, our mind is spinning, and so I've had family members call and say, can we come again? Because I think the information applies differently now than maybe it did at the beginning. And the answer to that is absolutely. You can come to workshop as many times as you would like to come. On top of that, as far as aftercare for you, right, we do a weekly group. And so right now it's virtual. Maybe in the future we'll have a group in person and virtual, but we have family members who live all over the country. And so it's really nice that every week we have 5 o'clock Central, we have a Zoom group. And so you are welcome to join. Sometimes people just listen on their way home from work so that they can get a little bit of encouragement or inspiration from other family members. So from us at St. Christopher's, your recovery, your health, your wellness, your journey is just as important to us as your loved one. And so we have a lot of really neat programs in place to support you through your healing process.